Making $150,000 a year in New York or London, yet your account hits rock bottom before payday. You aren't poor, but you are trapped in the most sophisticated snare of the modern economy, the affordability trap. Your mistake is confusing what you can afford to pay per month with real wealth. The financial system has tricked you into structuring a life where the moment one person loses their job, the entire house of cards collapses instantly. Let's be completely honest for a second. If you live in a major Western metro area and your household income is in the six figures, you feel like you should be winning. You did everything right. You got the degree, you climbed the tech or corporate ladder, and you watched your gross pay climb. But somehow, the stress climbed even faster. You look at your bank account on a Tuesday night and wonder where it all went. You are what economists call a Henry, high earner, not rich yet. But why is this happening? It's not because you're stupid, and it's not because you buy too many lattes. It's because the entire consumer ecosystem in the West has been re-engineered to sell you a toxic illusion. Banks, car dealerships, and real estate agents no longer talk about the total price of an asset. They talk about the monthly payment. They look at your dual income, calculate the absolute maximum you can cash flow every 30 days, and then sell you a lifestyle that leaves you with a margin of safety of exactly zero. You aren't building a net worth, you are just renting an elite lifestyle from the banks, one installment plan at a time. And the scariest part? You are one corporate layoff or one medical emergency away from total financial ruin. In this video, we are going to break down the brutal math of this trap. We'll look at a real spreadsheet to show you how a $150,000 income evaporates and how to completely restructure your cash flow before the window closes. Why is it that when our income doubles, we don't get twice as rich, but our financial anxiety quadruples? To understand this madness, we have to look at the cold, hard numbers. Let's pull up a standard financial spreadsheet for a modern corporate couple living in a high-cost city. Let's say he's a tech product manager and she's a software engineer. Together, their combined household income is a highly respectable $150,000 a year. On paper, that is $12,500 hitting their household every single month. You'd think they are swimming in cash, right? Wrong. First, the government takes its cut. After federal, state, and local taxes, plus basic health insurance, that $12,500 instantly shrinks to about $8,800 in net take-home pay. Still not bad, but this is exactly where the trap springs shut. This is where classical lifestyle inflation mutates into something far more dangerous. You see, the modern financial system doesn't want you to think about the total price of things anymore. Banks, car dealerships, and tech platforms have spent billions optimization testing one specific psychological vulnerability, the affordable monthly payment illusion. They don't sell you a $1 million apartment, they sell you a $4,000 a month mortgage. They don't sell you a $60,000 Tesla, they sell you an $800 a month lease. They don't even sell you a $1,200 phone. They sell you a $50 a month upgrade plan. Our couple looks at their $8,800 in net take-home pay and starts matching it against these monthly payments. A nice two-bedroom apartment in a decent district, $4,000. A financed EV and a secondary vehicle to commute, another $1,200 with insurance. Student loans from their elite universities, $800. High-speed internet, premium streaming packages, and those high-end gym memberships, $400. Before they even buy a single grocery, order a single Uber Eats, or grab one drink with coworkers, they have locked themselves into $6,400 of pure, inescapable fixed costs. That is nearly 73% of their entire net income completely spoken for every single month by law and by contract. This introduces a fatal structural flaw into their lives called dual income fragility. Back in the 1970s, a middle-class household could comfortably survive on a single income. If the husband lost his job, the wife could enter the workforce to stabilize the ship. The household had an embedded backup plan. But today, our couple has built a lifestyle that absolutely requires both engines to be running at maximum capacity 24/7 just to keep the plane in the air. When your fixed overhead consumes 70 to 80% of your take-home pay, your margin of safety is exactly zero. You are not wealthy. You are running on a hyper-efficient financial treadmill. If both earners keep their jobs, they survive. They might even feel like they're thriving because they have luxury consumer goods to show for it. But what happens when the macroeconomic reality shifts? What happens when a sudden wave of tech layoffs driven by corporate restructuring or AI automation hits their company? If just one of them gets handed a pink slip, their household income instantly drops by half, falling to $4,400 a month. But guess what doesn't drop?
The $6,400 in fixed payments. The bank doesn't care about the tech sector recession. The car dealership doesn't care about your restructuring. Suddenly, this high-earning couple is bleeding $2,000 in cash every 30 days. Even with a modest emergency fund, they are exactly 60 days away from total default, panic selling their assets, and watching their beautifully curated life evaporate into thin air. They didn't fail because they didn't earn enough. They failed because they let the system dictate their cost structure. But the real tragedy isn't just the math. It's how two different couples can look at this identical $150,000 income and build two completely opposite destinies. To see exactly how this plays out in the real world when a crisis hits, we need to look at the stories of two specific individuals, Miles and Lorraine. Meet Miles and Lorraine. Both live in London. Both run household budgets fueled by that identical $150,000 a year corporate income. On paper, they are demographic twins, but in reality, they are living in two entirely different financial universes. Let's look at Miles first. Miles is the poster child for the modern leveraged professional. He lives by a simple rule. If the monthly payment clears the bank check, he buys it. When his income went up, his zip code changed. He locked in a massive mortgage on a beautifully staged house in an expensive London suburb because, well, that's what people at his level do. Next came the driveway upgrades. Two financed German vehicles sitting on PCP contracts costing a smooth $1,400 every single month. Then come the lifestyle baselines. His kids go to private daycares, he wears the tailored suits, and his weekends are spent at high-end restaurants to decompress from his brutal 70-hour workweek. If you look at Miles from the outside, he is the definition of Western success. He looks rich. But if you look at his spreadsheet, his fixed overhead devours an astonishing 85% of his take-home pay. He has no meaningful savings. His entire existence is a perfectly tuned, hyper-fragile machine. Miles is secretly exhausted, and he stays awake at night because he knows a single bad quarter at work could end the illusion. Now, let's look at Lorraine. Lorraine operates on a completely different blueprint, the one-income principle. When her household income hit $150,000, she made a conscious choice to completely decouple her consumption from her earnings. Instead of buying the maximum house the bank allowed, she and her partner bought a modest, charming apartment closer to the city. They don't lease cars, they drive a reliable used hatchback that was paid for in cash on day one. Lorraine engineered her life so that their entire fixed overhead, mortgage, utilities, food, and basic necessities can be comfortably covered by just one of their incomes. The other income? It never enters their daily life. It gets aggressively diverted into hard assets. They buy physical gold, they accumulate cash-flowing real estate trusts, and they build a fortress of liquid value. Lorraine's fixed costs hover around a beautiful, stress-free 35%. And then the macro environment shifts. It always does. A sudden, cold wave of tech layoffs sweeps through the city. Corporate boards demand a 15% reduction in headcount to protect profit margins. In a bizarre twist of corporate fate, both Miles and Lorraine find their roles eliminated on the exact same Thursday morning. Two identical pink slips, two completely different consequences. For Miles, panic sets in within 48 hours. The clock is ticking, and the math is merciless. His $7,500 a month fixed expenses don't care that his team was downsized. By week 3, the credit cards are maxed out just to keep the lights on. By month 2, he's forced into a fire sale. He dumps the cars back onto the dealership, takes a massive loss, and lists his dream home on a sluggish real estate market. Miles didn't lose his lifestyle. He was evicted from it by his own balance sheet. He's forced to take the very first low-ball offer that comes his way, reset to zero, and carrying a mountain of residual debt. But what about Lorraine? When Lorraine leaves the office with her laptop packed, her heart rate barely ticks up. Why? Because her fixed costs are minimal and her fortress of hard assets is fully operational. She has a 6-month liquid emergency fund sitting ready, completely untouched. Her lifestyle doesn't change by a single inch. She doesn't have to sell anything. She doesn't have to panic. Instead of rushing to accept a bad corporate role out of sheer desperation, Lorraine can spend the next 6 months resting, reskilling, and waiting for the perfect strategic opportunity. Miles was trapped by his cash flow. Lorraine was freed by hers.
The difference wasn't the $150,000 they made. The difference was the structural margin of safety they chose to build or destroy. So, how do we stop being Miles and start becoming Lorraine? To fix the math and protect yourself against this hidden systemic trap, we have to look at the legendary rule of investing, Benjamin Graham's margin of safety, and apply it directly to your personal bank account. Benjamin Graham, the legendary father of value investing, pioneered a concept that saved Wall Street billions, the margin of safety. The core idea is simple. When you build a bridge, you design it to hold a 30,000-pound truck, even if you only expect 10,000-pound sedans to cross it. Why? Because you account for the unexpected. You account for human error, structural flaws, and freak storms. Yet when it comes to our personal finances, we build bridges that collapse under the weight of a single rainy day. We need to take Graham's institutional philosophy and hardwire it directly into our personal balance sheets. Let's look back at our financial spreadsheet, but this time, let's actively change the variables to execute a complete structural escape from the affordability trap. Step 1 is aggressive fixed cost reduction. If you want to survive the modern economic landscape, your fixed, non-negotiable overhead, your rent or mortgage, your vehicle obligations, your insurance, and your minimum debt payments must be re-indexed. The new baseline, it should devour no more than 50% of the net take-home pay of the lowest earning partner in the household. Let's run the numbers on that. If the tech downturn hits and your household is reduced to just one income, that single paycheck must still be able to cover the baseline lifestyle with room to spare. On our spreadsheet, that means dragging that $6,400 fixed cost line item down to $3,500 or less. It means trading the financed luxury vehicles for a clean, used sedan paid in cash. It means renting or buying a home based on utility, not status. The moment you cross this threshold, your financial stress drop-dead plummets. You instantly unlock air to breathe. Step 2 is building an unassailable shock-absorbing buffer using hard assets. Once your fixed costs are slashed, you will suddenly find yourself with a massive surplus of unallocated monthly cash flow. Do not leave this money sitting in a standard checking account where an interface designer can tempt you to spend it. You need to create psychological friction. You do this by converting that paper currency into non-custodial, physical, and structural assets. You route it directly into gold, silver, or tangible value-producing assets that are highly illiquid for daily impulse buying, but incredibly dense storehouses of value in a crisis. When your wealth is anchored in hard assets, it acts as a behavioral circuit breaker. It forces you to pause, completely short-circuiting the evolutionary urge to spend what you see. But none of these tactical shifts will work unless you address the underlying psychological trauma driving the behavior in the first place, FOMO, the fear of missing out. From a neurobiological standpoint, the modern digital landscape is a minefield designed to exploit your amygdala. Every time you log onto social media and see a colleague posting from a luxury resort in Amalfi or showcasing their brand new luxury SUV, your brain processes that social disparity is a literal threat to your status within the tribe. You experience a microscopic flash of panic. To heal this, you have to realize that what you're witnessing online is not wealth. It is a highly coordinated performance of consumption. Most of the people you envy are just miles, one bad corporate presentation away from financial eviction. To break the cycle, you must build a strict, toxic filter for your lifestyle. Stop measuring your net worth by the things you display and start measuring it by the autonomy you possess. When you combine low fixed costs, an ironclad buffer of hard assets, and absolute psychological immunity to peer comparison, something incredible happens. You stop running on the treadmill. You transition from a fragile, high-earning economic unit into an anti-fragile, genuinely wealthy individual. Because at the end of the day, true financial freedom is never about the size of the monthly cash flow you can generate when everything goes perfectly. It's about something far more profound. Real wealth is never measured by the amount of money you bring in every single month. It is measured by time. It is measured by how many months or how many years you can comfortably maintain your current existence if you walked away from your job tomorrow morning. If your paycheck stops and your life immediately starts to fracture within 60 days, you are not rich. You are just a highly compensated hostage to your own cost structure. The system wants you to stay on that treadmill, spending every extra dollar on finance status symbols to keep the machinery of consumption running. But you don't have to play that game anymore. Stop letting financial institutions define what is affordable for your family. They don't care about your freedom. They only care about your predictable monthly payment. It's time to take control of your numbers and build a real structural margin of safety. Tonight, I want you to sit down, open up a spreadsheet, and run a brutal reality check. Add up every single mandatory, non-negotiable fixed expense you have to pay every single month. Then divide that number by the net take-home pay of your household's single lowest earner. If that ratio is higher than 70%, you are living in the financial danger zone. You have built a bridge with zero room for error, and you need to start downsizing those fixed overhead costs before the macroeconomic environment shifts against you. Drop a comment below and let me know, what is your structural safety ratio right now? Are you running a fragile setup like Miles, or are you building an unassailable fortress of cash flow like Lorraine? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if this breakdown brought you value and clarity tonight, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our upcoming deep dives into macro cash flow and structural wealth. Take control of your numbers, build your buffer, and I will see you in the next video.